Hi. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You can go ahead and have a seat. And would you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
My name is Samantha Fuentes. That's spelled SAMANTHAFUENTES.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Fuentes. How are you?
Great.
Okay. I'd like to call your attention. Where did you go to high school?
Marjory, Stoneman Douglas High School.
And when did you graduate?
2018.
Okay. I'd like to call your attention to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember where you were during fourth period, Ms. Fuentes?
Yes. I was in room 1214 in my Holocaust Studies class.
Okay. And the teacher was?
Miss Seamus,
Okay.
Ivy Seamus.
And could you tell us what happened during fourth period, please?
Yeah. We were basically wrapping up for the end of the day. There was about, 15, 20 minutes left of class. People were putting away laptops. We had concluded group presentations just regarding like different topics during like World War II. And I was pretty much all done for the day. I was sitting at my desk on my phone, just scrolling through Instagram, getting ready to leave. And I was sitting very close to the door. I actually sat in front of the door that, opens in and out of the classroom. It started as just a couple shots that I heard just behind my head that I could hear from the hallway. Everyone in the room froze. We all sort of stared at each other and froze for a moment because we didn't exactly know what it was. But the sounds sort of continued, and that's kind of when we determined that they were gunshots. And that's when I ran from my desk, which is, like I said, at the front door, all the way to the back of the classroom, which is sort of where the windows are and the back end of the classroom. And at that point, I sort of realized that I messed up because the students had divided themselves into two different groups that I wasn't a part of. So at that point, that's when the shots entered our classroom. That's when the shooter had shot through the window and continued to fire. I was on the ground at the back of the classroom, and I was crawling on my hands and knees to join the rest of my classmates who were sitting in the corner next to a wooden podium, the laptop cart that contained the laptops, and just a few books that people were using to barricade that corner. When I made it to that corner, the shots were still firing. I put myself behind the wooden podium as best as possible. At a moment while the shots were all going, I had my vision and both my hearing went away briefly, and all I could see behind my eyes were white. So I was very confused and disoriented with exactly like where it was coming from. So unknowingly, I peeped my head past the podium to look at the door. That is where I saw Cruz standing there after he had finished firing. He was standing at the window at the door. And then I moved back into the podium and was facing a few of my classmates, two of which were shot dead right next to me.
Who were they?
Nick Dworet and Helena Ramsey.
Okay.
And they were both horizontal or diagonal from me. In this corner, I had my bodies facing them, looking at them. And at that point, we were all whispering, being very, very quiet. We were, somebody called the 911. We were checking pulses to see if either Nick or Helena were still alive. They weren't. And then that's when I had a good look at myself. That's when I realized that I had holes in my pants. I had blood running from the top of my forehead down to my chest. I had blood in my eyes and all over my face and in my hair. I borrowed one of my friend's phones to look at myself briefly, and what you would have saw would disgust you. We sat there for a very short amount of time, waiting for somebody to come get us. Eventually, it was the SWAT who, or I'm not exactly sure, but it was gentlemen in big black sort of artillery gears. They broke down the door, started escorting us out of the room. They asked if anyone had a weapon. They asked if anyone was injured. I was helped up by a large man. I looked at my dead friends and turned around, and they told me to run out of the building. And they said to look down and not up. And that's where I passed the body of 2 students in the hallway, as well as broken glass, shells. And I ran all the way to that main road, Pine Island, I think. And that's where I was cleaned up by the EMT paramedics on the side of the street.
And were you taken to the hospital?
Yes.
And what wounds did you receive, Ms. Fuentes?
Yes, so I sustained a gunshot wound just above my left knee, and as well as multiple other locations of shrapnel, both my legs, as well as my arm and my face. I also still have shrapnel just behind my right eye that still is there, and I have shrapnel still lodged in all of these parts of my bodies.
And do you have any effects to this day from any of that?
Yes.
What effects do you have?
I don't have the same range of motion or stamina as I once did when I was more able-bodied. I get chronic spasms and pain in my legs, whether it's the weather change or pressure. I can really feel that in my extremities.
Okay. Let me show you now state's exhibits marked. I'm not sure what this, is that, looks like it's 3. I picked up the wrong, did it? I was only kidding. Okay, let me show you state's exhibit. Mark 3Q. And you recognize that?
Yeah, that's my leg.
Okay, and does that accurately describe your wound that you received on February the 14th?
Correct, yeah, that's one of them.
And I'll show you State's Exhibit 3P. Do you recognize that?
Yep, that's me.
And does that show your wound?
It does,
that
yes.
Existed on February the 14th, 2018?
Correct, I can confirm that.
Thank you, Ms. Fuentes. At this time, Your Honor, I'd like to offer State's Exhibit 3Q and 3P.
Is there any objection?
Yes, ma'am.